Welcome back to the Learning Summit podcast, where we dive into the latest trends in education and workplace learning. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're exploring self-directed learning, what it is, why it matters, and how organisations can support it. Joining me to break it all down is Sean Gilligan, founder of Webanywhere. Sean, welcome back.
Thanks, Alex. This is a great topic because learning isn't just something that happens in classrooms or training sessions. It's something people do every day on their own when they have the right mindset and resources.
Let's start with the basics. What exactly is self-directed learning?
Self-directed learning is when an individual takes control of their own learning process. Instead of waiting for formal training, they identify what they need to learn, set goals, find resources, and track their own progress. It's learning that happens on demand at one's own pace and often driven by curiosity or necessity rather than external instruction.
So it's about shifting from passive learning, where someone tells you what to do, to an active approach, where the learner seeks out knowledge themselves.
Exactly. Instead of relying on structured lessons, self-directed learners ask questions, research, experiment, and apply what they learn in real life. It's a powerful way to build skills and adapt to change.
Why is self-directed learning becoming such a big focus in education and workplace training?
There are a few big reasons. Firstly, the world is changing fast. New technologies, job roles, and skills emerge constantly. People can't afford to wait for formal training. They need to keep learning on their own to stay relevant. Secondly, it builds problem-solving skills. Self-directed learners don't just memorize information, they learn how to find answers, think critically, and adapt to new challenges. Finally, it makes learning more engaging. When people choose what to learn, they're more motivated and retain information better.
That makes sense. If learning is forced, people are less likely to remember or apply it. But when they take ownership, it sticks.
Exactly. And in a workplace setting, self-directed learning reduces dependency on structured training and allows employees to learn in the flow of work, which is much more efficient.
That's a great point. So how can organisations encourage self-directed learning among employees?
Here are a few ways. Firstly, provide access to learning resources. Give employees access to online courses, video tutorials, podcasts, and digital libraries. If learning materials are available and easy to find, people are more likely to explore them. Secondly, create a culture of curiosity. Encourage employees to ask questions, experiment, and share their learning with others. Companies can do this by recognizing self-learning efforts and creating learning communities. Thirdly, allow time for self-development. If employees are constantly overwhelmed with tasks, they won't have time to learn. Setting aside dedicated learning time, even an hour a week, can make a huge difference. Fourthly, offer mentorship and peer learning. Self-directed learning doesn't mean learning alone. Connecting employees with mentors, peer groups, or discussion forums gives them support while keeping the process learner-driven. Finally, use technology to support learning. AI-driven learning platforms can recommend content based on job roles and skills, helping employees find relevant learning materials without a formal training session.
That's a great list. And it sounds like self-directed learning isn't about removing structure. It's about giving people the freedom to explore while still providing the right tools and support.
Exactly. It's about empowering people to take charge of their learning journey while ensuring they have guidance when needed.
Are there any common challenges companies face when trying to encourage self-directed learning?
Yes, a few. One challenge is lack of motivation. Some employees are used to structured training and might not take initiative at first. That's why it's important to reward and recognise self-learning efforts. Another issue is too much choice. If employees have access to thousands of courses, they may not know where to start. Curating learning pathways based on job roles can help. And finally, some companies worry about tracking progress. The key is to focus on outcomes, not just completion rates. Look at how employees apply their learning in real tasks and projects rather than just checking if they finished a course.
That's really helpful. So if a company wants to start fostering self-directed learning today, what's the first step they should take?
Start by making learning resources accessible, whether it's an LMS, an internal knowledge hub, or even a list of recommended books and podcasts. Give people a place to start, then lead by example. If managers and leaders openly share what they're learning and encourage discussions, employees will follow.
That's fantastic advice. Before we wrap up, where can listeners go to learn more about self-directed learning and workplace learning strategies?
They can visit Webanywhere.com. We help organisations build learning cultures that encourage employees to take ownership of their growth.
Sean, thanks again for another insightful conversation.
Thanks, Alex. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Learning Summit podcast, and we'll see you next time.